Welcome back, children. Last class we talked about velocity time graph, and from the velocity time graph we also calculated the distance traveled by the body as well as the acceleration of the body. So in today's lecture we would be talking about how to calculate the acceleration and the distance traveled by the body from the given velocity time or the speed time graphs. So in the screen you have got a few questions. We will be solving 3 questions in all. The first question, if you look at the screen, it is given: study the speed time graph of the car given alongside and answer the following questions. So the first question is, what type of motion is represented by OA? So we have to see this OA. Now if you look at this OA part, the VT graph is sloping upwards. So when the graph is sloping upwards this way, last time we talked that here there is a uniform increase in velocity. Uniform increase in velocity. So whenever there is uniform increase in velocity of the body, then we have got acceleration to be constant. Okay, so in the first part, what type of motion is represented by OA? We can write constant acceleration. Okay, now the second part, AB. Now look at this part, AB. Now if you look at this graph and try to recapitulate last time's video, we had a graph where the velocity of the body remaining constant. The line was a parallel line, parallel to time axis. Here we have a constant velocity, and whenever we have a constant velocity, then acceleration is equal to 0 as slope is equal to 0. So here what is represented by AB? Then AB represents 0 acceleration. Okay, now come to the part BC. Look at this BC. Here the body has got a velocity of 40 meter per second. At C it is 0 meter per second. And what is the time gap? You can see the time gap is 20 seconds. So in 20 seconds the velocity has decreased. So because there is a decrease in velocity with time, therefore what we would have, there is retardation, or we also can call it as negative acceleration. Okay, so in this part A is negative, in this part A is 0, and in this part A is positive. So in this graph we have got 3 different parts where acceleration positive, acceleration is 0, acceleration is negative. Now the fourth question is, calculate the acceleration of the car from O to A. Now how to find acceleration? Acceleration is equal to slope of VT graph and what is the slope? Slope is nothing but perpendicular by base. Now look at the graph now. What is the perpendicular? If you look at the perpendicular, this perpendicular is 40 and the base is 10. So it is 40 by 10. So we get 4 meter per second square as the acceleration of the body. Now this one, acceleration of the car between A to B, we have already discussed this. Here acceleration is equal to 0 as slope is equal to 0. There is no slope. Therefore acceleration is equal to 0. Now retardation, where is retardation? It is between B and C. So retardation would be equal to slope of VT graph, and BC represents retardation here. So this would be equal to perpendicular by base. So what is the perpendicular here? This is 40 divided by what is the base here. Now if you see the time, it is 30 here, 50 here. So it is 50 minus 30. So it is 40 by 20. So we get 2 meter per second square. Or we can also write acceleration is equal to acceleration between B and C is equal to minus 2 meter per second square. This is base, okay, base, and this is perpendicular. Now this is question number 1. Now let us move on to question number 2. Now please see the graph. Velocity time graph has been given and we need to find out. Now these are the questions. What is the first question? Calculate the acceleration and retardation of the body. Which part of the graph shows zero acceleration and why? Calculate the total distance traveled by the body. So let us do question number 1. Calculate the acceleration. Where is acceleration? Acceleration would be between where? Which points? Between O and A. So here it is perpendicular by base. So what is the perpendicular here? If you look at the graph, the perpendicular is 20 and the base here is 2. This is the base. So it is 2. So we have 10 meter per second square as the acceleration. And what about the retardation? Retardation would be equal to, and where is retardation? It is B to C. So retardation is nothing but P by B. What is the perpendicular here? If you look at the graph, this is 20 and the base here is 5. So it is 20 by 5, or we get 4 meter per second square. Or we can also write acceleration between B and C is equal to minus 4 meter per second square. This is first question. Now the second question. Which part of the graph shows zero acceleration? Now if you look at this graph, AB is the part. Why? If you see this AB, this is parallel to the time axis. This is parallel to time axis. So slope would be equal to 0, and therefore acceleration of the body between A and B is equal to 0. Okay. Now the third question. The second and first are done. So the third part is calculate the total distance traveled by the body. How to find out the total distance? Now we have talked about distance also last time. Distance is nothing but area under the VT graph. Now if you look at this graph, this is, we can see a trapezium here. So if we find out the area of the trapezium, OABC, this would give us the total distance traveled. So this is nothing but half into sum of parallel sides multiply height. So this is half. What are the parallel sides here? What is the parallel side here? This is AB and OC. And what is the height here? If we mark this as point D and this as E, you can either take AD or you can take BE. So let us take it as AD. So this is half into, what is AB? The length of AB is 5 minus 2. So it is 3 plus OC is 10 into, what is the length of AD? AD is 20. So if we cancel this 2 and 20, so we get 13 into 10, so it is 130 meters as the distance traveled by the body. So we have solved these three questions. We have found out the acceleration, we have found out the retardation, then we have found out the part where we have zero acceleration. We have also calculated the total distance traveled by the body. Now let us move on to the third question. Now look at the graph here. Again we have got a velocity time graph. The question here is calculate the acceleration of the body between OA and BC. Then we have to calculate the retardation of the body as well as the distance traveled between 30 seconds and 80 seconds. Means we have to calculate from here to here. So let us first calculate the acceleration between O and A. Now if you look at this graph, this part, here acceleration would be equal to slope of VT graph. And what is the slope? This is nothing but perpendicular by base. What is the perpendicular here? This is AE. And what is the base here? OE. So AE, the length of AE is 20 and OE is 20. So we get acceleration to be 1 meter per second square. So between O and A we have calculated the acceleration. Now if you look at this part BC, here also we have got some acceleration. So between B and C, acceleration would be equal to perpendicular by base. And what is the perpendicular here? To find out the perpendicular, let us draw a line here. Let us say this is G point. So this is perpendicular. Now this forms the perpendicular now. CG is the perpendicular and base is BG. So this is CG by BG. What is the length of CG? C corresponds to 80, G corresponds to 20. So it is 80 minus 20 divided by, what is BG? This is 40 minus 30. So we get 60 by 10. So here it is 6 meter per second square. Now here the acceleration is more, here the acceleration is less. From the graph also you can see this graph is sloped less, this has a less slope, and this graph has got a greater, it is more steeper. So this has got a greater slope. So the value here is 6 meter per second square. Here acceleration is equal to 6 meter per second square. And here acceleration is equal to 1 meter per second square. Okay. Now retardation, the second question. This is question number 1. Question number 2, retardation. Where can you find out the retardation? You can see from C to D. So here also slope is equal to perpendicular divided by base. What is the perpendicular here? The whole length. If you see this part is the perpendicular. And what is the length? It is 80 divided by base is 80 minus 40. Perpendicular is CF here. If you see this is nothing but CF and this is DF. So it is 80 divided by 40. So we get 2 meter per second square. This is the retardation of the body. Okay. Now the third question. So this is question number 2, this is question number 1. Third question is, we have to find out the distance between 30 seconds and 80 seconds. So let us close the graph here. So this is 30, this is 80. Now we can divide the graph into two parts here. If you divide this part gives a trapezium. This part is a trapezium, and this part is a triangle. Here we have a triangle, here we have got a trapezium. So distance would be equal to distance travelled between 30 seconds and 80 seconds. Let us find out. Okay. So this would be equal to how much? Area of trapezium. Let us mark this as, let us say this is H. Area of trapezium HBCF plus area of triangle CFD. So this is half into sum of parallel sides multiply height. This is the area of trapezium, and we have half into base multiply height. So this would be equal to half multiply. What are the parallel sides here? It is BH plus CF. BH plus CF. And what is the height? Height here is CF. It is, you can take HF or you can take BG. Let us take it as HF plus half. What is the base here? Triangle. We have got FD multiply height is CF. Now what is this? Actually we are finding out the area of the trapezium, so we can continue here. So this is half into BH. BH is how much? 20 plus CF is how much? CF is 80 multiply HF. HF is 40 minus 30 is 10. This is the area of trapezium. Then you have got triangle, half, base is how much? 40, height is 80. So if you cancel this, this is 20 and this is 5. So let us solve it further. So this would be equal to, it is 100 multiply 5 plus 20 into 80. So it is 500 plus 1600. So it is 2100 meters. This would be the distance traveled by the body. Okay, so we have done 3 questions. related to velocity time graphs. So go through the questions again. If you have any doubts, you can write in the comment box. You can even like and share this video. Thank you very much.